Hello Internet, welcome back to the workshop. Now today we're going to be having a look at the ZZR Swingarm. There she is, nice and shiny. It's not the best paint job I've ever done, but it'll do. Just to tidy it up. We've got all the bearings here. We're going to put the bearings in the Swingarm. Obviously I've got the obligatory coffee there. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Right, okay, so for those of you that don't know the order of play with the ZZR Swingarm, we have 3 needle rollers, we have a standard roller bearing, we have 1 oil seal, 2 oil seals, we have a circlip that holds that bearing in place, and we have a cup that goes over one end. Right. We're going to start with the big bearing and a needle roller in this end of the Swingarm. That end of the Swingarm has 2 needle rollers in it. Obviously there is a spacer that goes in there. 1 spacer. Right, we'll worry about that in a minute or two because that can go in after the bearings have been put in. Right, so first things first, we have to fit the needle roller. That is a needle roller bearing. Okay, genuine Kawasaki part for the bike. That goes in this end there. Right, let's give you a bit of a close-up so you can see what's what. That goes in there. And then now you have to press that in. Now I could get my hydraulic press out, but you know what, I've been looking at this and there's another way of doing it, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of my way. Here we go. I just hope that's a good camera angle so you can all see. Right, first things first, we need something to cover this end of the Swingarm because we're going to use that threaded bar as a drawbar. So that socket is going to cover the end of the Swingarm so that when I tighten it up it's got something to pull against. So that's first things first. We'll just get that into place. I'm going to hold that in place with a bit of tape. Like that. Right, that'll stop that sliding and moving about. Now we put the threaded bar through. You can see it's got nylock nut, plain nut, both Loctited onto the end of the thread with a couple of washers that just happen to fit in that socket so that it pulls nicely against the base of the socket. Right, so what we need to do now is we need to put that needle roller in that end, and how we'll do that is we'll use that socket up against the back of it to draw it in. Let's get you a bit closer so you can see that's a slightly smaller diameter than that bearing. So when I put the nuts in there and tighten them up on that threaded bar, it should pull that bearing into the Swingarm. Well, that remains to be seen. Let's have a go. Bit of grease first. Put a tiny little bit of grease in here so that when you put the bearing in, it slides in easily and doesn't pull against the aluminium. Right, so that's the hole greased. Oh, misses. Right, there's our bearing. There's our socket, like so. Now we need a big washer and a small washer and a nut. Right, let's just make sure I've got the right end. I'll put that bearing in that way around. Okay, for those of you out there that are sharp-eyed with these needle roller bearings, you'll notice that one side of it has got like a rolled edge and the other side is flat. If we put the socket against that flat side, we shouldn't deform the bearing when we install it. Right, there we go. Right, so now we need a socket on that end, like that. Spanner on this end, and we should be able to draw that in. No, it's slipping, is that? It's slipping like mad. Right, okay, let's try something else. It's slipping like mad, is that? Let's try it with that side. Oh, we've got a problem with that now, haven't we? Needs a bigger socket. Right. Gotta get it started. Do you know what? I'm struggling like mad with that. It's not working, is it? It's not working at all. Right, so let's try something else. Let's try a bigger socket. Nope, it's not pulling it in square. It's not pulling it in square. It's not pulling it in square. Right. So I guess what we'll have to do guess what we'll have to do is start it off with a mallet. It's not ideal, but nonetheless. Whether or not that will go in there. It won't. Right, that's got it started. It's just got it started. And it's reasonably square, is that so? Right, let's turn that round. Right. Put that on that way. Like that. On that, and off we go. That's in. That is in. Right. There we go. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this size socket now, which is just slightly smaller than that bearing, and use that to finish it off. Just don't know if that's going to work though. Actually, it's not quite up to the I don't like that at all. I really don't like that. Let's try that one. Let's try that one. Feels good. That's just bottomed out as that. You can feel resistance change on the right, let's try that. That's in. That is in. Right, I'll give you a quick view of that. Now, as you can see, that needle roller is all the way in. Now that does, the back of that bearing sits up against the shoulder, so when you press it all the way in using the threaded bar technique, okay, you can feel when it hits that shoulder, because the nut really becomes really stiff to turn, so you've just got to be careful not to over tighten it. But there you go, that's the first one in.